All right. Thanks, Tom. Well, I'm super excited to have one of my favorite clients join you. She is a flaming visionary. Alexis Walsko is known for her extraordinary PR company locally, Lola Red, and she also represents celebrities, athletes, all kinds of interesting things. But one of the things I appreciate most about her, she has an idea for every opportunity. I'm going to leave it at that. Alexis?
Thank you. I think, am I mic'd? Can you? Yep, I am. So, what I'm going to talk about today is leap and the net will appear. It's something that drives me every day. So, 18 years ago at the age of 22, I found myself in what I thought was going to be my perfect corporate job with an ad agency called Thomas & Perkins in Denver, Colorado. Thomas & Perkins, they had a great big beautiful office. They were on 16th Street. And Thomas & Perkins had a really great culture, but for some reason when I showed up there every single day, I felt like I had to squash myself down to fit into this corporate keyhole. And I was miserable. And so Thomas & Perkins, unfortunately for them, they lost one of their biggest clients. And in losing it, they announced that they were going to do layoffs. When I heard that they were going to do layoffs, I had a secret idea, 2 of them. And so I ran to the HR office and said, pick me. I did. And I said, pick me because I thought that I was going to get a gigantic severance check from my 6 months of service to Thomas & Perkins. I got a little one. But also I had in the back of my mind an idea for a PR firm based on my year-long internship while I was in college. So what I'm going to talk about is that experience, but also what leaping and having the net will appear, what that means, and what I've learned in leaping constantly. The first thing I learned is that one leap is not enough. You're going to have to leap over and over and over and over. I also learned you want to find the right people to have along for that leap. And when you do, it makes it much more fun. And the third thing is that the net will appear eventually. That's the hard part. But when you practice things like EOS, that net actually appears much more predictably, which is what I've learned over time. So I start my company, I call it Lola Red PR. People are like, why Lola Red? Well, Lola Red because I'm 22 years old. My name's Alexis Walsko, not super sexy. And I love Madonna. And Madonna's daughter's name is Lourdes. They call her Lola. I always told the story that my favorite color is red. It's not my favorite color. And after today, here with all of you, I feel like I bleed orange, maybe my new favorite color. But so Lola Red, it was actually because my car was red. So Lola Red is built on service and results. And as we start going in business, we start to hire some people. We start to get some traction, even though we're not practicing traction. But as we start to get this traction, people start recognizing. So I started in the fashion and beauty industry, and in the fashion and beauty industry, the Daily Beauty Bible, Women's Wear Daily, picks us as one of the top 50 firms in the nation. Entertaining in that it was just me and an intern at the time, sitting at a plywood desk in my parents' basement, but we are off and running. So over time, we continue to get more clients. We have more employees. And I'm a little concerned about what is coming next. I'm also very busy because I start serving as a lifestyle expert on local television. So I'm running a company and being a lifestyle expert here locally. I do some other markets. It's always fun because I would put out a great big Easter spread and say, this is what you do for Easter. When my family would come over, they're like, didn't look better on TV. So as we're going and being recognized, big companies start coming to us when they're launching in the Twin Cities. They then come to us and say, you guys did a great job here. Can you help us in our other markets? So we are operating in 35 other markets. And of course, me, as visionary, I think, well, let's do more. And I think that the solution to any problem that I have in business at that time is to hire a great big executive from another firm. And so that's what we did. We hired a superstar. We hired someone that worked at another firm, and she's absolutely amazing. And we brought her in because our team's really young, because I believe in young people. And I believe that young people, they're young, fresh air for companies. But we needed a little bit of help and a little bit of seasoning. Unfortunately, at that time, that leap with that executive wasn't so great, because the month that she started, our 2 biggest clients filed for bankruptcy. And that really sent my company into a tailspin. And I was left wondering, where is that net? And how much longer until it appears? And so during that time, we used to have clients and media call our office every day. They weren't calling. It was bill collectors that were calling, because we owed everybody. And so the real highlight was when our phones were shut off, that's super fun for a communications company. So it was during that time that I could not find the net, and I was very, very frustrated. But eventually the net appeared, and that was when somebody gave me a book called Traction. And after we separated from this executive, it took 2 years to pay off everybody that we owed and more, and deliver on every promise I ever made. And it was at that time when I called EOS Worldwide and said, okay, we're ready to do this. We need an implementer. And interestingly, they sent us and connected us with Sue Hawks. And I knew Sue, so she did the team health portion this morning. So Sue, I'd called her up. I said, I think we need help. I knew her. She was in sort of my world. And Sue said, you're not my perfect client. That's fun. I'm like, we will be. We will be. You leap. So Sue Hawks becomes our implementer. And I commit to Sue Hawks, and I commit to what was then my 3-person leadership team. And I tell her, I will do anything. And the reason I will do anything is because you've taught me about this role called visionary. And for the first time in my professional life, I found the box where I belonged. And I would do anything just to only sit in that box. And so for 2 years, our leadership team, we committed. We did every project, every rock. I had rocks back then. Those were fun. The leadership team really loved how I would complete them, because they were drawings, color, but I was done. Some of them were on cocktail napkins. That's where you design process. So it was a magic time. But I left in that because I knew that if I could get to that visionary seat, it would be one of the best things I could do for myself, and that I could do for my company and for the companies that we work with. So 1 year ago this month, I made it to just that visionary seat. And to be perfectly honest, it's one of the best things that happened. Within 45 days of getting to that visionary seat, we actually signed our biggest client project ever. And it was because of my responsibilities. So my responsibilities at Lola Red, big relationships, big ideas, and culture. That's it. I had a relationship with someone that was in an industry that we hadn't worked in before. But it was this relationship where he said, I need your superstar team. And so we were able to deliver. Within 60 days of making it to the visionary seat, I found myself on Sir Richard Branson's Necker Island. Not sure how that happens some days. When I was on Necker Island, it was because I was part of a group called Changemakers, Rule Breakers. Changemakers, Rule Breakers, actually, when I heard that title, I said, that's me. Unfortunately, my parents say, we know, Rule Breaker was on your birth certificate. We've been living through this. But Changemakers, Rule Breakers, it's an international organization of people that have committed to use their lives and their businesses for good. And that's what I get to do every single day. Within 120 days of just sitting in the visionary seat, I found myself in Sydney, Australia. And I was with one of my leadership team members, and we were taking a ferry across Sydney Harbor to Manly. And if you've been to Manly, it's a pretty beautiful beach town. But the reason we were there was because there was an international company that had heard of us, and they were launching in the EOS, and they heard that we were the best people to do that. So there I was. Leap and the net will appear for me as a way of life, but what I've learned throughout this process and in doing EOS is that if you practice EOS, which I'm assuming you all are sitting here because you are, you actually can make that net appear much more predictably. That's all I have.